Most people try to teach that time is your most valuable asset. And while I don't disagree with the fact that time is one of your most valuable assets, I encourage you to consider that something else might just be more valuable than your time. I know this might be hard to believe. You might be on the edge of your seat wondering, Christian, what is this? What is this asset that's more valuable than my time? And I'll tell you exactly what it is. But I want to help you think for yourself first. Your time is valuable. You only get a certain amount of it in your life, and you don't know how much that actually is. You never know if tomorrow's going to be the day. You never know if it's going to be a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, a decade from now, 50 years from now. Who knows? And so you have to use the time that you do have wisely. Now, how do you do that? How do you use the time that you have wisely? And how do you even know what wisely is? That's where this asset comes into play. The asset that is more valuable than your time is your focus. What you focus on is what you get more of in your life. There's a saying, where your focus goes, energy flows. There's many, many sayings about focus, and over the course of history, some of the most well-known philosophers, the greatest teachers, the greatest minds of all time, all agree that focus is actually more important than the amount of time that you have left. Because as an example, you may have a lot of time left, but if you are not focused on what actually matters to you during that time, then you are going to spend a lot of time not actually doing the things that you want to do, not thinking about the things that you want to think about, not feeling the way that you want to feel, and not achieving the life that you want to have. If you are consistently focused on negative things in your life, you may notice that you find more of them. There's this really cool part of the brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS. And essentially what this does is it is the training mechanism for your brain that tells you what to focus on. You may have heard of this thing called the red car theory, and it's the idea that as soon as you buy a red car, all of a sudden you seem to notice there's a lot more red cars out on the road. Maybe you buy a specific type of car, and as soon as you start to notice in the world around you, there's a lot more of that car than there was before. Your RAS has been now activated to see that car. And so just as you can unconsciously tell your reticular activating system to notice a car, you can also intentionally train your reticulating activating system to notice abundance, to notice financial opportunities, to notice where maybe some more opportunity to make more sales are, to get more show-ups, to feel more happiness in your life. Or you can also intentionally or unintentionally train your RAS to notice negative things in your life. Anxiety, pain, distress, worry. So let me ask you this. If you had a choice on how you wanted to live your life, how would you live it? And if that's how you want to live your life, what choices need to be made in order to live that life? What emotions need to be focused on? What emotions need to be not focused on and thrown out? What do you need to train your RAS to see? What do you need to train your RAS to ignore? A really great exercise that I love to do with my students inside the Sales Dojo is to take a piece of paper and physically write down, don't put it on the computer, take an actual piece of paper with a real pen, Get it out of your brain into the real world, not on a computer screen, real world. Write down 100 ways that you could make money right now. Now, this isn't going to be a to-do list. Some of these things, you can even write down illegal ways to make money if you want. But write down 100 ways that you could make money right now. Let's say even just $20. How could you make $20 in 100 different ways right now? And you'll notice after doing this exercise for the next 2, 3, maybe even 7 days on the long end, you'll notice that you start seeing more opportunities to make money around you. If your goal in your life is to be completely present, be here in the now, rather than always worried about the future or anxious about decisions that you made in the past and how that might affect your future. Look at the present moment and write down 100 things that are going on right now in your life that you're grateful for. 100 reasons to be present as opposed to being stuck in the future or stuck in the past. Your RAS is a wonderful thing. And in short, you get to choose what you focus on in your life. And whatever you focus on is what gets magnified, what gets improved, what gets increased in your life. So, do you want to focus on how maybe you're not in the job that you want? Maybe you're not as skilled as you want to be. Maybe you're not making the money that you want to make. Or would you rather focus on how can I make more money? How can I get a better job? How can I up-level my skills? How can I increase my earnings rather than focusing on the fact that you don't have any and you can't afford training at the moment, maybe? You never know. But one last thing that I will leave you with. When you figure out what it is that you want in your life, I encourage you to think about what happens when you actually achieve that. If the thing that comes to mind when I ask, what is it that you want out of your life? If it's certain achievements, maybe you want to make a certain amount of money. Maybe you want to be able to do this thing. Maybe it's a certain level of security in order to feel safe. What is the feeling that comes on the back of that? Let's say that you get to the point where you're making that money. What is the feeling that you want to go for? Achievement? Feeling like you did it? You proved everybody wrong, maybe? Security? You want to feel safe? Not worried about finances? Take a look at all those things. And one thing that I really learned from one of my favorite mentors I've ever had, his name is Ed Milet. If you're not familiar with him, he trains the best in the world. Presidents, star athletes. He is a mental coach, the number one mindset coach in the world, actually, for the past few years straight. He teaches that the quality of your emotions are the quality of your life. And he tells a story of he was building this new mansion right on the beach in California, beautiful oceanfront property and custom house. And as he came in the front door one day to just check on progress, he just had a bad meeting. You know, some people he had to lay off that he didn't want to, but needed to. A deal had gone south that he was really hoping would come through. And it was just a tough day. You know, we all have those. It's completely normal. And as he came in, he's in kind of a bad mood. And he looked into his kitchen, and there were a bunch of guys working in the kitchen. They were Hispanic guys. And later on, he got to know them a little bit better and found out later on that those guys in the kitchen who were having a great time with mariachi music playing, they were dancing, they were laughing, they were cracking jokes, they were smiling. They had a higher quality of emotions in that moment, even though they were working their asses off. They were working long shifts. They were working away from their families and sending the money back to their families in Mexico for long periods of time. They didn't even get to see their families. They were living a better life than he was in that moment. He had the mansion, he had the cars, he had the business. But at that moment in time, Ed realized that those guys in the kitchen had a better quality of life than he did, simply because of their quality of their emotions. And in that moment, he realized you always have control over what emotions you feel. Emotions are simply the assignment of a meaning to chemicals that are going through your brain. You might feel a ton of pain in your muscles while you're, out and about, and the meaning that you assign to that is fear of what is going on to my body. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe I need to call an ambulance. The meaning that you assign is negative, but you feel those same feelings in the gym of your muscles being tired, of being worked, and you get dopamine, and you assign the meaning to that feeling of I'm growing, I'm improving, I'm doing something to achieve my goals. And in that moment, the emotions that you feel, you're not worried. You're happy, you're excited, you love it. And so the meaning that you give to your situation around you is what determines the emotions that you feel. And so if you start to focus on the positive meanings of life, if you start to focus on the things that you want to grow in your life, as opposed to the things that you want to avoid, then you will start to see more of the things that you want to improve and that you want to grow into and that you want to see more of in your life, rather than the opposite. If you focus on the negative things, you start to notice more of those negative things. Now, this doesn't mean ignore the negative. It means to see the negative, but not attach any sort of focus to it, aside from noticing the negative thing, the emotion, the feeling, whatever it might be, figuring out what it is that you can do in order to change that, and then you focus on that. You focus on doing the thing that will improve it. So I hope this helps. Maybe there's somebody who is seeing this video and this is the first time that you're hearing about this stuff. Maybe you're watching this video and you've heard about this before, but you've never really taken it to heart. I encourage you to take a hard look at your life and figure out what it is that you want out of it. Figure out what are the emotions that you want to feel on the back of the achievements that you want. And start focusing on feeling those emotions on a day-to-day basis right now. And you may just notice those feelings start to grow. And you start achieving more, and you start becoming the person who is worthy of those achievements, who deserves those achievements, and who naturally attracts those achievements into their life like a magnet. It's pretty cool stuff. Your brain is pretty smart. Somebody was pretty smart when they designed it. So hopefully this helps. Go and start focusing on what you want instead of what you don't. Enjoy.